Hi and welcome to The Winning Factor. I'm Alan Aitken, and on this show each week we take a look at some upcoming Hong Kong races and try to separate out the key element of the race that we might look back on later as having been a path to finding the winner. Well, Saturday racing in Hong Kong this week, and the first race we're going to take a look at is race 4. Our winning factor here, the conversion rate. Now we look across the field and I think we can separate out some major players here as a start. There's Juno Park racing well from the John Size yard, and a horse he also met in a race recently, King Dragon. I think the likelihood that Viva Council has some claims in the race, and I also suspect we'll see some improvement this time second up from the lightly raced Charity Grand. But I did think we saw the major lead-up race for this on February 23 at Sha Tin, and we're going to take a look at that now, and it features Juno and also King Dragon. Now we take a look here, and King Dragon, he's drawn out wide, green, red and yellow colours. He's slow to begin. He gets back and he has a very tough run around the field in the middle stages of the race. But I also want you to watch Juno Park here. Now, he drew the outside gate, he forces forward in the early stages, looking to get a position, and Joe Moreira has to use him up quite a bit to get across to what is ultimately quite a good spot. He ends up going clear in the straight, but that extra effort in the early stages really told on him late, and he just gets run down on the line. And I thought King Dragon did a pretty good job there too, 3 lengths away in 5th placing after he had a particularly tough run. But when we go to the map for Saturday, we're going to see that I'd expect both of these horses to have a much easier trip in the upcoming race. Now, we take a look at the map, and barrier 2 for Juno Park this time instead of 14. King Dragon has 5 instead of 12. So I think we're going to expect they get better runs here. Trailing the speed, the leader is most likely Viva Council, who does race well in front. And I expect both of these horses to be in front of the other horse I identified as a chance, Charity Grand. And that looks a tactical advantage, I think, to Juno Park and King Dragon. So now we need something else to separate these two solid chances in the race, and I think we can take a look at the conversion rates. Now, this is a concept that I bring up from time to time on this show, and it's looking at the success of trainers with horses that they've had run 2nd, 3rd or 4th in the lead-up run, and how successful they are at getting these horses to convert those near misses into wins next time. And as you can see on the graphic here, at the moment Douglas White heads up this list, but off a very small sample, whereas John Size, he's been doing this week in, week out for the last 18 years, and he is our standout trainer at the conversion rate caper. So the tip in race 4, Juno Park. His winning factor, the conversion rate. Certainly he and King Dragon both had tough runs in that lead-up race. They both got chances. But I really like the fact that not only has he drawn a good gate this time, Juno Park, but John Size is so adept at getting these horses to go one better next time. The other race we're going to take a look at is race 10. The winning factor here, the tempo. Now, for my money, this Class 3 race doesn't have too many chances in it, but I'm sure there will be fans of both of the last start winners in Class 4, Amazing Chocolate and Mighty Giant, while there will also be fans of the horses who are already performing well in this Class 3, Picken and Private Rocket, who've been both going quite well. But as the winning factor would suggest when we go to the map here, the real crucial element of this race is the tempo, because there are no leaders. We take a look at the map, and there are a number of horses here who can race up on the speed, like Hello Beauty, Craig Star, Mighty Giant and Private Rocket. But we probably wouldn't describe any of those as a regulation leader, and that leaves us with what looks like a very soft pace. So being able to take advantage of the pace is a key here, and I think that is going to give a headache to horses like Picken and Amazing Chocolate from their wider draws. And that leaves us with the two who look to be advantaged by the likely tempo, and that's Mighty Giant and Private Rocket. And to compare them, as luck would have it, They both had their most recent start on the same day, just an hour apart. And we're going to take a look at those replays now. First of all, race 420, and if you've ever wanted an answer to that question of what a difference a top jockey makes, well, here's your answer. Mighty Giant, he'd been racing very well with local jockey Alex Lye aboard, but top rider Zach Purton got on this day, and this was a horse of a completely different grade. And have a look at him here, and we're going to focus a little later on the pace in the race, but trust me, it was a very solid pace. He was up on the speed, and still he cruises away here to win like a horse going places. Now that was a Class 4, and an hour later in Class 3 we saw Private Rocket go around. He's in the light pinky sort of colours here. He's up handy to the speed, cruises up to Beauty Rush here at the 200 metres and looks to have the race in his keeping, but he just gets outdashed. This was a fairly even tempo, and he just gets outdashed in the run down the straight and has to settle for third, but he's certainly racing very well, this horse. Now, as I mentioned, the first of those was Class 4 and the second was Class 3, and I guess theoretically the second one was a higher grade of race. But I think that's where times come in very handy, and I'm going to show you why the Class 4 was actually the higher grade of effort. Now, you see on the graphic here the comparison times for the quarters or the sectionals in each of these races over the same distance, just an hour apart, so they're easily compared. And the second section for Mighty Giant, the race is run almost 5 lengths faster than average. So it's a real energy sapping early stage in that race. Whereas you see on the Private Rocket race an hour later, that it's just an even sort of tempo through the race and no really brutal areas of the event to sap the energy. So I think that gives extra merit to the performance of Mighty Giant, who also carried 7 pounds more than Private Rocket. So the tip in race 10, Mighty Giant. His winning factor, the tempo. I think the way this will be run reduces the field down to 2 really strong chances, but we saw in the sectionals there that Mighty Giant, although theoretically in a higher grade here, is actually the one coming into the race with the superior performance. Well, that's it from the winning factor this week. Enjoy your racing Saturday. We'll catch you next time.